Hello friend, Jim here with JB's Big Adventure, coming to you from Lake Chapala, Mexico. Welcome back everyone to the channel. I've got a great video for you today. If you yourself are wondering what the pros and cons are of actually retiring here to Lake Chapala, Mexico. So I have been doing some real diligent work on this. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to share those with you pretty quickly of what the top pros and cons are. Now, a couple things I wanted to touch on real quick is the average Social Security check for 2024 is $1,719. $1,719 a month as the check. Now, with the rise of inflation, have you noticed things are getting a lot more expensive than they used to be? The political scene, our world is like coming apart at the seams. Now, being of Christian faith, I really believe that there's going to be a better time, but it is not, there's no one person I feel is just all of a sudden going to set the world straight and everything's perfect from there. It just isn't going to happen. But there's a reason why so many people are moving here to Lake Chapala. Also, have you noticed that morals and ethics have just gone out the window? Not even important anymore. You see it everywhere. You see it on social media. You see it on TV. You see it in public. So let me share with you. I'm going to share with you the cons first because I want to be very above board and honest and straightforward. But I want to share with you the things that most individuals that I've spoken to, gone and looked at some things, researched online, reached out to some other expats, and to kind of share with you those things. So first of all is poor internet speed. Now I want to tell you, the internet speed is not terrible all throughout Lake Chapala. There's areas where it's actually an older development or older homes that have not been upgraded. And it might be they're still on basically DSL, it just isn't going to be as fast as it would be if it was fiber optic cable. I believe the lowest speed is 50 gigs. And for most, that's fine. But there is a chance of being a place and the internet speed is not what you'd like it to be. But you can also upgrade or go with a different service for internet. The chances for inconsistent utilities. Yes, there's times where certain areas have blackouts or the electricity goes out. I mean, we had it one time where it might have been off for a couple of minutes. It wasn't very long, but we're in a little bit more established area. So I say established. I'm just talking about upgraded somewhat. So, but the utilities, whether it's internet. I mean, we've been without internet, and it's been for stuff happening through through Telmex, which is the number one or the largest telephone and cell company in Mexico. Sometimes they've had issues, or somebody's cut a line or something. But depending on where you're at, that can make a big difference. Driving in Mexico, I was pretty amazed of when people talked about driving in Mexico. When we came, in fact, they really had me on edge when they're talking about driving in Guadalajara. And, Guadalajara's got, I want to say, between 5 and 6 million people. And so instead of just taking our car and driving to Guadalajara, we actually took the bus. There's a Chapala direct bus that goes directly to Guadalajara from Lake Chapala. And I can still remember the ride, and it was like, what's everybody complaining about? What do they have difficulties with? Well, I'm from Southern California, so maybe that has something to do with it. But to me, it didn't seem like it was all that big of a deal of driving around Mexico. Yes, I mean, locally, you got to be careful of the motorcycles that are passing you on the left or passing you on the right, kind of having your head on the swivel a little bit. But all in all, I mean, it isn't like it's undoable. There's still a lot of people that drive. But if you're one that does not want to drive, that's your decision. I just want you to know that's something that actually there are people that feel that. Cobblestone streets. When we first came, we got a taste of the cobblestone streets. And I got to tell you, we weren't on the Cobblestone Road for maybe 15 seconds. I'll never forget. I told Barbara, we're not going to live here. I said, it's not only going to beat up the car, but in regards to when it comes to shock absorbers and when it comes to the suspension. But it jars you around, and the smaller vehicle you're in, the more you get jarred around. And but to some, that's a real challenge. Now, I like where we live. There is no cobblestone, and it's very nice. It's laid brick, and it's right off the highway. And the nice thing about that is we don't have to be concerned about the car getting beat up and everything because of the cobblestone. So, and we don't try to go on the cobblestone all the time. We try to stay off the cobblestone. There's sometimes you just can't help it because you're going somewhere that the only way getting there is cobblestone. Because in Ajijic, lower Ajijic and upper Ajijic, lower La Floresta, upper La Floresta, west Ajijic, and then you get into like San Antonio, Mirasol. Actually, Mirasol is not, but San Antonio, if you go upper or lower, that's actually cobblestone. I mean, you've got cobblestone basically all the way to Chapala, and then Chapala's cobblestone. But there are areas that there are no cobblestone, so it's a little bit easier to ride in those areas. So the cobblestone is something that some folks talk about. When you come as an expat, you're not always going to find what you're looking for. I'm trying to get back active again and getting exercise. And so I asked Barbara to go and get me a sweatband at Walmart. And she couldn't find a sweatband at Walmart. And I says, are you kidding me? Walmart does not have sweatbands. They'll sell a tennis racket, but no sweatbands. And food-wise, there's just things. I know Barbara likes to make pies, and she likes to make pies that she's using the pre-made, they come in a roll. I don't know what you call it, just pre-made pie crust. And she likes using that. She makes a great apple pie. But you don't find those here. You're not going to find tater tots here. Tater tots, they're like the little, they call them poppers. But they're good. You don't find those here. And there's all kinds of things. You're not going to find, for the most part, you're not going to find French fries. Man, I must be hungry. Talk about food. But yeah, the grocery store, you go to the hardware store, you're not always going to find the things that are important for you to be able to find. Sometimes you have to go to Guadalajara to get that. But in fact, it's not always here, but you might have to go someplace else to get it. But whether you're shopping for groceries or you're shopping for other things around the house, or maybe you might not always find here what you're looking for. Narrow sidewalks. Now, the narrow sidewalks is primarily a big thing. You're going to find some sidewalks in Ajijic. You'll find larger sidewalks in Chapala, wider sidewalks in Chapala, but narrow ones in Ajijic. Some of them you could put a wheelchair on. Some of them you're not going to be able to fit with a wheelchair. So I let folks know you really need to think about it. Come first, check the place out before you just move here and you're in a wheelchair. You want to make sure that it's conducive to your needs, your special needs. So when it comes to sidewalks, there are narrow sidewalks, but there are, if you go to Chapala, there are wider sidewalks. Access to financial accounts and banking. More and more, the expats, there's banks here that actually really really help and work with the expats. So those banks are ones that are easier and easier to be able to make transactions and such. But there are folks that, complained about it. There's banks here that are offering as much as, 11.5% on your investment account. So all kinds of different things with banking. Some banks, I know there's been some Canadians that can't get their money from Canada. In fact, we've got a friend of ours that's here, that's one of our subscribers. It took him half a year. It took him 6 months to be able to get his money to buy a $250,000 house. So, but he finally got it. And banking sometimes can be a little bit of a hiccup. For the most, I would say, for those that are in Canada. But there have been those that have been in the States that have had some issues banking. So you just want to allow some extra days if you're trying to get a large sum of money from the bank to be able to deal with. The number of the topes, which is the speed bumps. There are places that the speed bumps are a lot larger than what you see in the States. And they're there for a good reason. The larger ones are actually in place when you're coming down a hill and you've got a, 3 or 4 lights at the bottom of the hill, and, they don't want you just, piling over somebody. So there are topes. And also there's places where there's more kids. So you'll find them there also. So, but you know what? I'm sharing with you all the cons, and I just believe that if you really want to be somewhere, you're not going to make those kind of things a big deal. It's just all part of living. It's part of the culture here. And so Barbara and I, we embrace the culture, and I actually suggest and encourage others to do the same too. Okay, language barrier. That is a big one. And being raised in Southern California, and then my older years in Albuquerque, New Mexico, I've learned some Spanish. I'm a little past Yo quiero Taco Bell. But there is a barrier. And if you don't speak the language, it can make things more difficult. One of the things I try doing is if I'm using my Google Translate, I try to look at the words and say it to them versus just pointing, instead of just giving this to them, I try to read what's on it to them. So I'm learning. I'm trying to learn on that. I've got someone that's actually going to be moving here, one of our subscribers, that's going to be teaching the class, the Spanish class. I'm looking forward to her getting here. The day got kind of delayed, and so I'm still waiting, but I've got a lot of folks that are wanting to take Spanish lessons. So we're all going to get together, and she's going to do all of us at the same time. So that's going to be something that we look forward to. So I am so sorry. I just had my notes come off my phone. Okay. So mosquitoes. You know what's here are what are the bobos. The bobos are actually male mosquitoes that do not bite. Bobos are male mosquitoes that do not bite. Now, have I heard people here that says that they got bit by a mosquito? Yes. But I've been all around. When it's the rainy season, they're around the most because they're around water. Personally, I've not had one that I've been stung by or bit by. But they're just hassles. They're kind of like gnats. They're always flying around you, and there's times where you just gotta. I do this number, you try to get it, but but they're here, and so. But that's more in the rainy season when they're around. We were told before we came here that there was a huge amount of loose, vicious dogs. My mind was thinking of gnashing of teeth, and you see the teeth, and they got drool coming down, and just vicious. We were told that there just was a real dog problem. Barbara's a rescuer. When we got here, we were wondering where all the dogs went, because there were no dogs that were vicious dogs. I've never seen or heard anybody get bitten by a dog. I've never seen a vicious dog. It's fun to see them playing because they, race after each other and they're playing, but I really haven't seen any vicious dogs. So I would just say to you, that's kind of trumped. It's not something that I've even had an issue with. The roads and the potholes, there are some places where there's potholes. Also, when you're on the Cobblestone, there's times where the rocks themselves have actually been dislodged and you got a pothole there. But you have to be watching for it. You've got to be watching for it. So they do try to fix them, but it's Mexico. So there's places that you're not going to have them fixed. Noisy and trashy. Well, I got to tell you, where we're at, the place that we lived before and the place before that, the trash came every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And so what you do is when you're doing up your trash, you hang it on the tree, or you put a nail on the wall, on the bar, put a nail in it, whatever it may be, to keep it up and away from the dogs and all. And we just leave ours. We all do this community. We put ours out on the sidewalk by the road, and they come pick it up religiously every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Now, have I seen trash in other areas? Sure. I've seen trash that is in Ajijic, several places, and I just know because of the way it's piled that it's getting close to trash day. Now, do I look at that and say that's going to be a big negative to me? Absolutely not. That's so ridiculous. So It's only a big thing if you make it a big thing. Okay, so those are the cons. Let's talk about the good stuff real quickly. The weather. It's awesome. It's like Groundhog Day. Beautiful weather, blue sky, beautiful lake that we live by, fresh air, clean air, and it's the number 2 best climate in the world. It's amazing. It's really amazing. A great place to be. Cost of living. The one thing, when we came our first time for 8 days, we weren't with anybody that gave us a tour around the place or anything. But the one thing that we did feel that we could live on less here and eat on less also. And so that's been a big help for us. So if you're on a fixed income like we are, that's a good reason to be here, because of the fact you can be a part of that and live on less. Active expat community. Sometimes that's a good thing, and sometimes it's a bad thing. I guess the best way I can put it is, I've seen some pretty nasty battles when it comes to politics. And that is politics that's in the States. Now, I know that Canada's got stuff going on also. And I know that, they've got Trudeau and there's all kinds of stuff happening, and I feel for them. But in the States, it doesn't matter which side you're on. I've heard just nasty exchanges. So I would say that's a negative thing with the expat community. I hear complaining from the expat community, and I just want to tell people, go home. If you don't like it, leave. That's just the way I see it. If you're in a city in the States and you don't like it, just leave. Well, you do the same thing here. So that's the one downer I say about expat community. Are there great people there? Absolutely. Absolutely. Barbara and I think we've got the best friends we've ever had here at Lake Chapala. The most friends. Every Tuesday we get together with like 30, 40, or 50 of them. So we love our friendships here we have. And that is a plus about the expat community. The friendly Mexican people. I can't say enough about that. They care. They smile. They say thank you. They say good morning, goodbye. Wonderful people. Really, really wonderful people. I'm so grateful for them to allow us as visitors to be in this country. I really am. So they're really warm, and that's really a plus about being here. They don't care about the politics in the States or in Canada. They don't care. So that's not an issue. It isn't something that comes up and you're arguing over it or whatever it may be. And you know what? Something I did want to share with you when I was writing this out. Here's my take on when it comes to politics and religion. When it comes to a Christian faith, people don't care what you know until they know how you care. Now, how do we do that? We do it by our life. We do it by our life. We do it by our living. We do it by our kindness that we have for other people, by our conversations, by our caring with others. Same with politics. If I'm sitting with somebody and we get talking about something and they says, I can't stand that guy, I hope he dies. I've had all kinds of things. Hope he gets shot, all kinds of stuff. I don't make it a big deal. That person, that's their feelings. I don't keep on, jabbing them in the side with a knife to, I irritate them even more. No, you just realize that person, that's not a subject that's going to be a good subject. So I don't worry about it. I don't bring it up unless it's really with folks that are really close friends and we're talking about things. Because in my Christian walk, there's, groups of folks we get together with church, whatever it may be. And I don't see the divide the same in regards to how angry people get about other people. They share their feelings about things, but it isn't like it's a nasty shouting match or anything. So I just wanted to interject that, just that I think the best way of just being a kind person, just being a person that cares. And do I care about everyone? Absolutely. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. That's not what makes you. What makes you is you're a human being. So I try to be kind to folks when it comes to that. So, and it just let it shine in my life. Slower paced life. Slower paced. Here I go. Fast paced life. I got to talk fast. Slow paced life. I will tell you, one of the things you really have to learn here is patience. They just don't move as fast as we're accustomed to moving. But you know what? It's still a great place to be. So when it comes to patience, I always have to remind myself we're in Mexico. When something doesn't happen like I'm expecting it to, we're in Mexico. So that's understandable. Let's see. Pickleball is very popular here. There's quite a few different areas where pickleball is played. When I'm taking folks out on my relocation tour, I hear about all the time about people wanting to play pickleball and where the courts, so I show them the courts. So pickleball is, in fact, a great thing if you like pickleball. We're only 30 minutes away from Guadalajara Airport. It's an international airport, so it's real easy to get on a plane and be in the States, in a matter of just a couple hours. So that's a real plus. The Mexican culture, very vibrant, bright colors, vibrant colors. That, and also when it comes to their arts and crafts, and again, the culture of what's here, the colors of the buildings, the colors of the dresses. Very, very enjoyable to be around that and see that. There's a large art scene and community here. If that's something you like, you're going to find that as being a great thing here. Large selection of restaurants. There's a huge selection. Whether you are carnivorous, whether you're a vegetarian, whether you're vegan, you can find choices here, restaurants here that actually you can eat at. I'm vegetarian. I've been born and raised that way. So there's all kinds of places I can eat. I mean, if you look at me, do I look like I'm undernourished? Quick access to Guadalajara. It's only about 60 minutes away and you're in the major city. So it's real close. Let's see here. Affordable and competent domestic help. Absolutely. It's inexpensive to have a housekeeper or to have a gardener. Now, our housekeeper and our gardener, they both charge us the same, either per hour or per visit, but we always give them more. Now, I'm not talking about, we give them 300, 400, 500 pesos more, but maybe 50 pesos more. You know what? Although we're not financially well off, they're still human beings. And you know what? Every little bit to them means a lot. And so that's why it hurts me even when I see at a restaurant, I see people that don't tip. I can't believe that. It bothers me. They work hard. They make no money here. So I like myself, I like supporting the small business person. Whether it's a gardener, whether it's somebody doing the housekeeping, or somebody at a restaurant, wherever it may be, or insurance, whatever it may be. I always like supporting the Mexican small business person. Access to affordable medical care and dental care. Absolutely. Just had recently somebody that was here, and I got a text from her with a smiley face that said that the dentist that I referred them to saved them over $16,000. $16,000. Way to go, Christina. Inexpensive medication from pharmacy. Now, that's an interesting one. I take a medication. Well, I should say I was taking a heart medication here. I had a stroke a number of years ago. Taking a heart medication. Can't think of the name of it now. Oh, starts with an X. Xarelto. And my doctor told me here, I don't need any. Don't need any. So I take baby aspirin. So that medication is like, I want to say just over $100 here. My mom was paying somewhere around $550 for hers in the States. So it's quite a bit less expensive here. I've actually had pharmacists that have come here, and one of the stops they want to make is the pharmacy just to see how much medications are, because they're familiar with the prices and all. ample public transportation. So that's easy to find. The transportation here, it's always readily available, whether it's going to be a private driver, whether it's a taxi, whether it's the bus. A lot of people get the bikes, the e-bikes, either a two-wheeled e-bike or a trike, and they're very popular here. In fact, when I stop in and see the owner of the shop, Chris is a good guy, and he's always telling me if folks coming by and buying bikes that they said that they were from the channel, and this warms my heart. I'm really glad that expats come down and they're supporting small business owners. So I really like that. So friend, I hope that's been helpful for you. I realize it's 25 minutes that I've been talking. I hope that's really been something that kind of opens up your mind a little bit, starting with the negative stuff, but being able to know with the positive stuff and why so many people are moving to Lake Chapala. So I hope that's been real helpful for you. Friend, I'd like to encourage you, if you haven't already, to subscribe to the channel. It's a great community. I know it's something you want to be a part of. There's a little red box in the bottom right-hand corner. Tap on it and you're subscribed. Go ahead and give us a thumbs up. Lets other people know it's a great video to watch about retiring to Lake Chapala. Stop by, say hi, ask a question, leave an idea for a video, whatever it may be. And also make sure you hit the bell, because that way you're immediately notified when the next video comes out and you don't want to miss our next video. So with that, as always, thank you so much for supporting this channel and being a part of this community. You have an awesome day, and we'll see you on the next video.